Hello, my name is Hope Anthony, and I am your narrator. This is Hawk Bells by Kristen Mercado. Starting off with Margito,
Hey everyone, my name's Sully Martin.
older woman,
Hi, I'm Mila Nakeko.
Yahima,
Hi, Bianca Figueroa, or Bianca Alejandra.
Nakan,
Hi, Luis Omar Farri.
unknown number 1, 3, and 5,
Hi, I'm Ryan Ott.
Tanima,
Hi, I'm Debbie Perez.
the Friar,
Hi, I'm Cotter Smith.
Kessie Goya,
Hi, I'm Mella.
and Keith.
Unknown 2, 4, and 6, Keith Hernandez. Thank you.
This is Hawk Bells by Kristen Mercado. Taino dialogue will be spoken in Arawak language. Some dialogue will be in Old Spanish. Open on black. We hear the gentle sounds of the river as it flows downstream. We make out the sounds of water splashing as we hear two voices speaking in the language of the Tainos, Puerto Rico's original tribe, which Puerto Ricans are descendants of.
Did grandfather teach you how to fish?
Actually, it was your grandmother.
Cut to riverbank. Day. We see two female figures walking along the riverbank. Casigoya, 28, and her daughter, Yahima, 11. Two indigenous Tainos, mother and daughter. Casigoya carries a net while Yahima carries a basket filled with senna shrubs.
Grandfather was a good fisherman, but your grandmother was even better. She taught me all the tricks of the river.
They stop walking. The mother grabs a handful of shrubs, walks a few steps into the river, and drops them into the water. She walks back to Yahima, who is crouching and unfolding the net. Casigoya gets down alongside her, helping her with the net.
Now, pay attention. See, the fish will try to eat the leaves thinking it is food, but it is actually bad for them. They will get slow and lame, and then with the net we can catch them.
And bring them home and eat them.
Yes, exactly. Father can teach you that part if you want.
Yahima dips her hands into the water and starts washing them. Casigoya does the same. We see their hands touching.
They are so small.
What is?
Oh, nothing. See if you can catch a fish on your own.
Yahima attempts to grab a fish. We don't see their faces, just their hands deep in the water. Village, day. We watch as Casigoya and Yahima walk silently along the village. The village feels calm going about their day. Casigoya looks down at Yahima as she holds her tightly. Forest, day. Casigoya is weaving a basket using dried leaves.
Take your time. There is no rush. Just make sure it's strong.
They work on the baskets for a moment. They hear something in the shrubs moving. Casigoya holds Yahima back, her arms stretched over her body, defending her. They stare into the forest, but nothing emerges.
Don't breathe.
Cut to riverbank, dusk. We see Casigoya's reflection on the water for a moment as she looks into her own eyes. We cut to her actual eyes, and then her hands dip into the water to clean her own face. Yahima mimics the actions and smiles towards her mother. Hut, night. We see a few women gathered around a fire, eating multicolored corn and yuca, including Casigoya's best friend, Tanima, 36. They are gossiping about their love lives with the men of the village. Taino women live separately from the men, but had autonomy and equal footing as them.
When he was young, the cacique was very active.
I'm sure he was very active.
What is going on? I don't get it.
Yahima, Don't worry about it for now.
She's old enough to know. Atabe knows. We all know.
Could be. Could be.
Love guides us all to the great truths of Atabe.
We hold on Kasegoya's face, looking into Yahima, who is staring at the fire. Kasegoya looks into the forest darkness.
Tanima, what is out there, you think?
In the darkness, only the Opa.
The spirits of the dead?
Yes, they fly at night and feast on the guava. You know this.
I think I saw something out there recently.
I truly hope it's not a hurricane. The last season was difficult.
Kasegoya puts a stick into the fire and smiles towards Tanima. Yahima watches and mimics her mother, tossing a smaller stick into the fire.
Don't think it's a hurricane. Don't think it was the wind.
Hut. Night. We see fingers intertwined in passion. We realize Kasegoya is having intense sex with Yahima's father, Nakan. We focus mostly on the hands traveling across each other in the shadows. We cut abruptly to her laying down on a bed of leaves alongside him as her hands extend outwardly towards the ceiling of the hut. His hands snake their way up her arms.
So small.
Like my mother.
How is our daughter doing?
I've been taking her to the river.
Have you been teaching her to fish?
She's trying. I love going to the river with her. She'll learn eventually. It's not easy.
There is a long pause in which they both seem to find words to share.
What is on your mind?
Like I belong in the river. I'll sometimes leave my hands in for a long time. I love the feeling.
They both lay in bed together, looking at the hut's ceiling. They stay silent, and we see their hands separate.
Tanima said we don't have to worry about a hurricane this season.
Good.
I know, but
What? What is it?
I'm unsure. I couldn't explain it really. I just feel strange.
Kasegoya continues to look up to the ceiling of the hut, listening to the raindrops hitting the ceiling. Cut to raining forest. Night. We travel down the forest to the river. We hear the rain and the sound of feet sloshing into the mud. We don't see anything, but can feel the presence of something lurking. Finally, we see a bat in the darkness. It flies off and we hear its shrieks echo into the night. Village. Dawn. We follow Kasegoya with Yahima carrying a bag full of yucca.
It's a good yield.
Can I go play yet?
No. We have to practice your fishing. There isn't time to play. We still have to bring this yucca to Tanima.
I'm tired. I don't want to do this anymore.
You must. We have a lot to do.
Yahima pulls away from her mother's arm as Kasegoya holds her sternly.
Let go.
Do not fight me.
In the scuffle, Kasegoya drops the yucca.
See what you've done?
I'm tired. I want to go play.
Kasegoya grabs Yahima sternly.
Do not fight with me. Now pick up this yucca now.
Jungle. Dawn. Along the riverbank, Kasegoya and Yahima are fishing with their hands. We watch as Yahima takes the grass and drops it into the river to fool the fish.
That's right. Now the fish will become slower.
Do I try to catch them now?
You must wait for the right time. Feel the river, its movement.
I'm trying.
Yahima, lacking the experience and patience of her mother, is frustrated by it all.
You must focus.
Yahima closes her eyes and lets her hands try to catch the fish, but it results in failure.
This is impossible.
It's always difficult at first. It took me years to learn from my mother. Here, watch me.
No, I'm done.
Yahima storms out of the riverbank. Kasagoya tries to keep up, but Yahima runs into the forest. Kasagoya loses track of her. We watch Kasagoya's bare feet walking on the dirt and her face looking steadily ahead. We hear an odd sound of some sort of animal panting. Kasagoya finds a dying bat on the ground, breathing. She focuses on the forest for a moment. We feel the wind brushing along the leaves as she looks back down at the dying bat.
Opa?
We watch her head rise slowly. Kasagoya averts her gaze towards us, looking directly into the frame. We see a conquistador frozen, staring at her. He places his finger over his lips, making a shh sound. Her eyes glare back at him, and she is violently hit on the head by the back of a blunt rifle. We cut to black with the impact. The frame stays dark for a beat. After a few seconds, we hear the snap and crackle of fire burning, and embers begin to waft up into frame against the blackness. Cut to jungle. Dawn. 3 unkept conquistadors standing near an off-screen fire, their profiles illuminated by the dancing orange light. We approach one whose face is covered in dirt and soot. His beard is a mess, his helmet off, but the rest of his uniform is still on. He holds a local fruit, carambola, starfruit. In his hand, he is picking it apart with haste as he casually watches the fire off screen. We'll call him Margito, 39. As we watch them, we can hear the sound of a man praying over the sounds of crackling fire.
Hail, Holy Queen, Mother of Mercy. Hail our life, our sweetness, and our hope. To thee do we cry, poor banished children of Eve. To thee do we send up our sighs, mourning and weeping in this vale of tears.
Our point of view flips, and we see finally the source of the flames. 3 bodies tied to the stakes, alight and burning in horrifying fashion. As they burn, the friar finishes his prayer.
Turn then, most gracious advocate, thine eyes of mercy towards us, and after this, our exile, show unto us the blessed fruit of thy womb, Jesus. O clement, O loving, O sweet Virgin Mary, pray for us, O Holy Mother of God, that we may be made worthy of the promises of Christ.
Jungle. Day. We see Kasagoya looking down, but she looks exhausted and mistreated. Her face looks dirty and her eyes puffy from crying. She turns to look upward. The forest is now flooded with conquistadors walking within it. We notice she now bears a collar with hawk bells on it. We cut to her feet, which are red and look worn out. Kasagoya's face looks directly into us. Cut to riverbed. Day. Kasagoya's hands clutch a gold pan. Her hands now dip into the same riverbed she would fish in, but now searching for gold. We see other women around Kasagoya doing the same. Their solemn gazes keep focused on the river. All the women are wearing hawk bells around their necks. We see small hands diving into the river, holding a gold pan, and reveal these to belong to Yahima, tears running down her face as she does her task.
Don't cry. Hold your tears.
A few yards from the women, we see a close-up of black boots walking, patrolling the riverbank. The menace is palpable. Kasagoya scoops out some mud and pauses. She reaches into the gold pan and lifts out a small piece of gold engraved within the mud. For a brief second, her face looks relieved. She places the gold into a pouch and goes back to searching. Cotton field. Dusk. As the tribe is picking cotton, we see the friar walking in the fields. As he walks, he's throwing holy water into the fields. He stops at Kasagoya and Yahima and notices them for a moment. He walks up to Kasegoya and grabs her hands.
Holy Lord, bring civility and faith to the children who are lost, those who have not been blessed with thy divine glory and light. Now, poor child, please, take a moment.
The friar pulls out a cantina of water. He demonstrates to her how to use it, then gives Kasegoya the cantina. She drinks of the water.
I will make sure to bless you and your child. The light of the Lord will reach you. We must find a way to spare you both.
Village, dusk. We see all of the women of the village gathered around. We see their hands warm, some covered in mud, others dirt, some cut, blistered. We then see the gloved hands of the conquistadors pushing the women into a line. We watch the polished boots stepping into the dirt, their gloved hands reaching to all the pouches and taking the gold out. We see another pair of hands collect baskets of cotton. It is Margito's hands. We reach the older woman. We see her basket is empty. We stay on Margito's stoic face. He pulls out a carambola from his satchel and begins to eat it. Interior hut, night. Kasegoya cradles a tired Yahima, trying to lull her to sleep.
Go to sleep, young one. We have a long day tomorrow.
Mother?
As Kasegoya is holding her child, she is startled by the doorway of her hut opening. She's breathless.
Hello. No need to be scared.
The friar is holding a bowl full of food.
I am not very hungry. I wanted to bring you both something extra. You both worked so hard today.
Kasegoya and Yahima don't understand the friar's Spanish. He signals to the bowl, which Kasegoya grabs with haste.
I've been telling the man that with the power of prayer, I can save you all, this godless rock, this journey. It's been difficult.
Kasegoya and Yahima eat slowly. Kasegoya watches the friar, unsure what will happen or what he's saying.
They think I'm mad. I see the grace of God in you both.
Outside, we hear rain begin to fall, and Kasegoya's eyes water up, but with the rain, it's hard to tell. Jungle. Day. It is still raining. Kasegoya is looking up, letting it all fall on her face. She looks down at her hands, watching the water slip between her fingers, and then dives them back into the river. Next to her, we see Yahima coughing as she digs and shifts into the water and dirt, not finding anything and looking frustrated. Kasegoya looks over at her. She grasps her pouch, which is full. She leans over and swaps Yahima's pouch, which is empty, and switches it with her. Tanima sees them but simply nods into Kasegoya's direction. Kasegoya smiles to her daughter as they continue to pan for gold. Conquistador camp. Day. We watch a brief montage of people moving armaments and cotton bundles into camp. We hear unknown men speaking Old Spanish. We see their hands placing things away, things they've stolen or taken. One pair of hands examines the gold that has been collected.
Not enough gold.
Move that over there. Captain wants to talk to you.
Not sure where I put it. God damn this hellhole.
We find a good water source. Men need good water.
You were out late. Enjoying the locals?
You dirty bastard. Keep your mouth shut.
If the friar hears that, you'll have to confess.
Fuck that bastard. Confess to your fucking mother.
My mother is a fine lady. I'm sure the friar can bless the union.
We cut to a gloved hand as it makes its way to a machete and a whetstone. The unknown man sharpens the machete.
The friar is wasting his time. God left us long ago in the seas.
Exterior, Conquistador camp, night. We see the friar emerge from his tent as the conquistadors sleep. He sulks his way over to the cages holding the women. As he approaches, he pauses. Casagoya, still awake, notices him.
Shh. Don't make any sounds. I know that I've been trying to give you the light of the Lord. I needed to help you. So I came.
He comes closer.
I wanted to give you this.
He hands her a rosary. Casagoya looks at it as she clutches the bars of her cage, unsure what to do with it. Exterior village, dusk. All the women in the village are lined up. We see their faces and their collars. We see the feet of all the women and the boots of the conquistadors walking by. Their gloved hands taking the pouches and examining them for gold. We see Casagoya's face tense up. We see her daughter next to her, looking up at her. She holds her hand and grips it. Casagoya looks down to her feet, the boots stepping into the frame right next to them. She looks up to the frame, directly looking into Megiddo's blue eyes. Megiddo lets out an exasperated sigh as his hands check the pouch. It's empty. Everyone in the village is looking. All the women's faces turn to Casagoya. Yahima lets go of her hand. Megiddo takes her and drags her out of the line.
Damn it, fucking dog shit. I have better things to do.
Megiddo yanks Casagoya, dragging her feet behind her. Yahima's eyes begin to well up, and she looks down at her hands, small, but now worn out with cuts. The world around Casagoya turns disoriented and hellish as she's dragged and witnesses what happens around her. We see villagers huddled next to a hut, sick with fever, ignored. Back at the line, we see the other women, unable to look as their faces look downwards toward the ground. We focus on Yahima's face looking to the ground, breathing heavily. We see the bat dying on the ground, breathing. We see a line of blindfolded Taino men and conquistadors aiming at them. One of the men is Nakan. The conquistadors fire. Casagoya flinches at the sound of the gunshot, which hits like thunder. The bodies drop in the distance as we focus on their faces, reacting. We see other soldiers playing with traditional rubber balls made by the Tainos. They laugh gleefully. We see children in a group helping older women carrying bundles of cotton. We see a soldier escorting Taino men, holding his rifle to his back. The bat continues to breathe, but it's slowing down. We see another Taino man burning at the stake, still alive, screaming to the heavens. Casagoya looks towards the base of the fire. We see the friar, mid-prayer. Holding the Bible, the friar looks away from his tome for a moment. He pauses his prayer and notices Casagoya being taken away. Casagoya fights for a moment, screaming, reaching towards the friar. His face and his eyes tense as he watches her being taken away. We wait for him to intervene, but he opens his Bible and continues his prayer instead. Casagoya reaches her destination. A small band of soldiers stand nearby. Casually talking about women they miss back home. She's dumped next to a tree stump. Megiddo kicks Casagoya down to her knees. We see the bat being looked at by Megiddo and his cohorts. He ties her hands together, making a tight knot. Megiddo watches the bat stop breathing. He pulls her up to the tree stump and places her hands on top. She heaves with each sob. The hawk bell around her neck sings. Megiddo, on the other hand, looks almost bored. He lifts up the machete with one swift motion, brings it down, cutting off her hands. Casagoya rears her head back and screams echo as we cut to black. Riverbank, dawn. We start on black, and the echoing screams fade into a droning sound. that becomes the sound of the river streams. We land on the back of Yahima, who is alone in the jungle. We see a close-up of her hands, which are perfect and small. Yahima is running free in the jungle, playing along the riverbank. Perhaps this is the past. As we follow her, we see something catches her eye. In the distance, we see Kasegoya's back turned to us, her body consumed by the forest. We watch as Yahima begins to walk towards her mother. We cut to a close-up of Kasegoya's face, which is clean, but now a shell of its former self. It's an expression so empty it hurts to see as she stares towards the river. Our point of view reverses, and we see what she sees, the river, feeling almost infinite and pure. Its vastness is almost alarming as it fills the frame, consuming us. Yahima approaches from behind. We focus on her hands as she places them on her mother, tenderly.
Mother?
Kasegoya doesn't respond. She continues to stare out into the river.
The hurricane did come.
Yahima inches closer to Kasegoya and lets her hands trace down along her mother's arms. Yahima's hands reveal Kasegoya's arms now, end in horrifying stumps. Her hands, which had been so familiar to us, are no more. Yahima places her hand over the stump and looks out to the river as well. After a beat, Kasegoya takes a step forward. We see her feet wade into the river. Kasegoya continues her pace, unfazed, walking deeper and deeper into the water. The water rises to her neck, but she doesn't stop. She sinks under and disappears. No bubble rise. She is gone. Yahima looks on from the riverbank. Her face says nothing. Cut to black. The end.